The talus rests on top of the heel bone, or the calcaneus, pretty much entirely. Not completely. There's some parts that overhang, and moving towards the talar head is part of the bone that overhangs. So when I say one pathway, when I say that the talar head represents one pathway of weight, there's another pathway which is much more intuitive to understand because it's straight down, right? So of course there'd be a lot of pressure on the talus resting on the bone below it, which is going to be the heel bone or calcaneus. So here I am moving the heel bone, and the talus rests on top. Now it rests on top with a very complex set of joints. So we're going to talk about that in the next video. But for the time being, go ahead and grab your heel just for a moment and wobble it a little bit and feel, okay, yes, there is a bit of movement. And there's movement against the bones that are forward of it, but we'll not talk about that yet. Just think about the bone moving beneath the talus. We've thought a lot about, or we've covered before, the way that the tibia will rest evenly and balanced on top of the talus. Well, of course, the talus is going to have to rest evenly and balanced on top of the calcaneus, or the heel bone. So you can do this standing or sitting. I've chosen to shoot this section sitting, but go ahead, and what I'm going to do is just rock my pelvis and knees forward and back a little bit. So I'm sending weight down through my legs and into my feet. And what I'm imagining is, first I will find the tibia, the feeling and the image and the way those sort of mix together to create this cool thing we call perception. And I'm going to feel the tibia resting and pushing down into the talus. Then I'm going to feel the talus resting down into the heel bone. So you might, if you're doing yoga poses or something, you can imagine different poses and experiencing different things from the perspective of those two bones. The joint between the bones is called the subtalar joint, or the joint under the talus. And we're going to look at the complexity of it in a minute, but imagine now that the weight is traveling in that section between the foot. And really where it is we're talking about is just kind of at the bottom of the fibula, and then on the inside of the leg, it will be a little bit lower than the bottom of the tibia. So we'll get more detail on that in a minute, but this might be something you've never thought about before. That the way that the talus sends its weight downwards has to be through a joint that then is the heel. When I first started this, I thought about the back of my foot as one bone. Now, after you've done that, try to wobble your feet a little, side to side, and see if you can feel that there can be some movement, basically in the middle of your foot. Right? I'm not thinking about the ankle, because we know there can be motion there, but I'm thinking about the movement between the heel and the talus. All these movements are going to be very important for how the foot is being used, right? If they get locked up, they're clearly not meant to be one bone, so we're going to have problems. So then I'm going to let my heels rest, and I'm going to lift my toes a little, but I'm going to do it with this idea that there's a joint, right? So I'm thinking about, before I really look at that surface, moving the bone in the subtalar joint. So it's easy to think about doing this motion with the ankle, but think about it in that space. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, Sign up for the InBody Space newsletter and share the link with a friend. You can also find original content on Facebook and Instagram.